Hi, I'm Roger Montgomery from Montgomery Investment Management. The REDcycle debacle, in which plastic shopping bags, chip packets, bread bags and assorted soft single-use plastics deposited in Coles and Woolworths supermarket supplied bins to be recycled into street furniture, bollards and the like, had instead been secretly stored in warehouses, highlights an issue I don't think the Western world is prepared nor willing to solve. It is, however, an issue we need to all consider and which must be addressed. At the time of the collapse of the recycling scheme in early November, REDcycle boss Liz Cassell pointed to ballooning demand with which the company was unable to cope. The company's processes had the capacity to recycle the contents of 1 bin per supermarket per day over 5 years. However, the success of the scheme meant bins were, on average, filling 3 times faster. Consumers were understandably frustrated. Their bags were being stored in warehouses and potentially heading to landfill. The REDcycle revelations again highlight an issue Australia faced in 2018, when China then restricted imports of contaminated recycling waste from Australia, immediately impacting the outcome of over 35% of household curbside recyclable plastics. The loss of Chinese demand for a third of our paper and plastics reportedly resulted in the average price of mixed plastic scrap plunging to zero. Initially, alternative Asian markets were found. However, these will eventually reach capacity too. Companies like Nestlé and Unilever produce billions of tonnes of plastic bottles annually. And we've all seen the news that microplastics now contaminate the breast milk of at least 75% of nursing women, and that BPA, a chemical found in plastic food and beverage containers, may be linked to breast cancer. We've also seen the images of plastics killing marine and bird life and choking waterways and the oceans. This has prompted many experts to suggest recycling solutions are no solution at all. They suggest what is required is a ban on plastics, and I agree. The health of people and the planet should come ahead of profits from incumbent business models, the best of which would be able to adapt to a ban on plastics. But the bigger issue not being addressed by the experts is the one brought about by capitalism itself. Our current version of capitalism is failing people and our planet. Capitalism isn't perfect, which is of course why it must be regulated. Left to run its own natural course, capitalism would result in all the wealth being accumulated by a very small group of individuals, and we can already see this happening. But one of capitalism's other big failings is the failure to properly and fairly price its own impact. And let me explain with a simple example. Suppose we set up, you and I, a corporation that builds manufacturing plants to manufacture 1 million plastic milk bottles and water bottles per day. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to locate those plants at Bondi Beach in New South Wales, Cottesloe Beach in WA, Sunshine Beach in Queensland, and Portsea in the Great Southern Province of Victoria. We also install a conveyor belt that reaches out past the beach and over the ocean. And all we do is pump out those bottles, drop them on the conveyor belt and dump them straight out to sea. 7 million bottles a week, all going straight into the ocean. There'd be riots, of course. The world would be in an uproar and our business would probably be shut down. But here's what capitalism does. It intersperses a consumer between the manufacturing plant and the ocean. The consumer uses the plastic bottle, pops it in the bin, and then it's someone else's problem. The manufacturer is no longer responsible and doesn't have to pay anything for its bottle, eventually finding its way into the ocean, into landfill, or into women's breast milk. Our current form of capitalism has perfected the privatisation of profits for the landlord and the socialisation of the true costs. To my mind, it's just not how commerce in an industrialised democracy should work. Progress should make life better for everyone. Instead, to date, it makes life much, much better for just a few. It may just be what we've come to accept, but it's a failure of capitalism. It represents a failure of our global regulators, and the collapse of REDcycle is just another small example of that failure in action. That's all we have time for today. I look forward to talking to you again next week, and in the meantime, keep following us on Facebook and Twitter.